If you've been a victim of abuse, betrayal, fraud, or other bad behavior by your ex, it's easy to become consumed with anger, hate, resentment, and revenge, especially if no one has harmed you more than your ex. However, you're tied to your ex by the people that both you and your ex love more than anyone else in the world, your children. This bond can cause a whirlwind of conflicting emotions of love and hate at every custody exchange, holiday, or child special life event that continues to remind you of a wound that feels like it'll never heal. One Sunday morning, I received a beautiful gift of healing from a priest's homily about forgiveness that freed my mind from the torturous memories of the pain that my ex inflicted on my family, while also freeing me from deep guilt and pain that I self-destructively inflicted upon myself. First, let me define forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't reconciliation, shaking hands, hugging, or again, trusting someone who doesn't deserve your trust. Forgiveness isn't a social event that involves any communication, interaction with this person who doesn't deserve forgiveness. I'm talking about an internal release from feelings of pain, anger, and hate that actually harms us more than the targets of our ill will. I'm referring to a freedom from the chains of resentment and vengeance that dramatically reduces our enjoyment of life. Back to our homily and that Sunday morning. The priest discussed the recitation of the prayer, Our Father, and the importance of grammar and punctuation, which can be illustrated by the difference between these two phrases, let's eat grandma, and let's eat grandma. Likewise, we Catholics butcher and distort the meaning of a beautiful prayer. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses. This suggests that while we're eating, we should be forgiven. As we forgive those who trespass against us and lead us not into temptation. These phrases are supposed to be separate, but they're combined, thereby losing its meaning. Much to my shock and surprise, at the ripe age of 50 plus, this passage has a much more powerful and dramatic meaning. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. The key here is as doesn't mean while. It means in the same way. It reminded me of another beautiful prayer, the prayer of St. Francis. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. In other words, we're forgiven to the extent that we forgive. The power of these words landed on me like a grand piano, and my thoughts immediately turned to my own mistakes, sins, wrongs, errors, shortcomings, and failures of a lifetime. People that I let down, hurt feelings that I've caused, imperfections that I have, and mistakes that I've made that caused others pain, and how guilty I felt because of it. Now, I have the opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. In forgiving my ex, not only could I drop the self-destructive pain, anger, hate, resentment, and vengeance that I had for someone who incidentally was also in pain and was unhappy from our relationship too, but I also could throw off the heavy chains of guilt, depression, and regret for hurting many others. If I could find the grace to forgive these horrible, painful wrongs that were done to me, then this new interpretation of this old prayer inspires me to believe that I will be forgiven too. I developed a completely new perspective. The greater the wrongs that were done to me, the bigger opportunity for my own forgiveness. If you're hurting from a divorce, separation, breakup, parental alienation, a crime, or other wrongdoing, remember, don't eat grandma. Instead, consider the words of our Father as spoken as they were meant to be spoken, and see the opportunity in your suffering or victimization. You will be forgiven like you forgive others, and therefore will be twice healed from the pain of your own victimization and the guilt from your wrongdoings. And then behave with the freedom like a person who's been forgiven for all the wrong that you've done, and treat your ex like they've been forgiven in the best interests of your child and your entire family. Produced by Larry DeMarco of the Law Center, creator of the Family Court Custody Bootcamp. See the description portion of this video for more information.